I have been searching for the Kudra Mandible for weeks now. The rarest item in the game has eluded me other than Whispers of Math, which is nerdy stuff, not for a cool person like me who plays Minecraft for a living. But in my despair, I had one idea, one trick that might lead me closer to the truth, and here it is. The secret behind this video I made about the Kudra Mandible was this. I had nothing, so we played Clash of Clans instead. You should join my clan. I shouted out my cock clan. You see, 2 weeks ago I logged onto my computer, then my screen went black and I heard a noise that shook me to my core. Then 50 pigs ran into the room and tackled me. I was thrown into a basement with nothing but an iPod Touch with Clash of Clans downloaded, so I decided to start playing. It's been months since I last played, and my dad seems to be here to see me. Son, I am disappointed in you. Because I haven't found the Kudra Mandible? Because you make Minecraft videos and call it a job. And because your clan capital is garbage. If you level it up, I'll give you the secret to the Kudra Mandible. If I take this flying airship, I can travel to the clan capital floating islands. But I need 50,000 contribution gold to level it up before I can use it and get that mandible hint. Looks like I need to steal some gold. I love sending hundreds of mindless warriors to their death so that I get gold. I have a new forge that gets me contribution gold. I asked how it worked, but he said I wouldn't understand. That is a really good way of not explaining things. Hey everyone, subscribe and you'll get 10 years of good luck. I would explain how, but you wouldn't understand. Another victory and I am bronze 1. I should be able to be the best in the world soon. What kind of bases do the top players have? What? This guy has no walls around his buildings. He has completely given up. How is he top in the world? What about the others? Top 6 also has a garbage base. The trick is to appeal zoo. There's something huge happening in 30 seconds. This shop is going to transform or something crazy. Wow, it's a hint to the Kudra Mandible. I analyzed it for 8 hours looking for clues. It can be rearranged as... Oh, wait, I have rewards from battling. 2,000 capital gold. That's amazing. Still not enough to level up the clan capital. The clan capital. Oh, wait, I have a clan. I should probably use that. Each member of the clan can contribute gold to the capital. And all of my clan members left after I AFK'd for 6 months. I was very busy getting more subscribers than the biggest hardware store in Australia. I failed that too. So if I can recruit new people into the clan, we can level up the capital and get a hint to the mandible. I should also try to get out of this basement at some point. But I'm on a mission. I'll do that later. So I devised a plan. How to get quality people to join my clan. I need a recruitment ad. Do you like cock? Nope, that won't work. Instead, I will be sneaky. Sun Tzu. I will learn everything I can about the Kudra Mandible hunt, theorize with people for hours on end testing ludicrous things to create a huge video about everything we have tried. Also that for 1 second in the video, I can place my advertisement. I don't care about the Kudra Mandible, we already found the golden ball. It was all for Clash of Clans. In a single day, we rose to the top 3,000 clans in Australia, soon the world. People started flooding in, we were growing so fast. Until they got rejected. Rejected by Overly Burnt Toast. Rejected by Overly Burnt Toast. Hi Dragoon, huge fan. Rejected by... The question form was very strict. Why do you want to join the clan? Do you have an anatomy degree? Have you ever killed a man? What was his mandible like? Is there a better way to title this game other than cock? Please click the green dot on the screen. That means you watching this video. Click it. Thank you. Most failed, but we slowly got new people. And our clan capital was gaining contribution gold. Soon it will be time. But for now I need a tutorial on how to fight using the clan capital. Jump spells cannot be used to jump over open water. These rules are bullshit. Sun Tzu. Now, did I lose the tutorial? Maybe. But, am I about to find the truth of the universe? No. But, am I about to find a small detail on an item in a block game? Yes. So Dad, what was it? I have finally gathered people to build the clan capital. Tell me, what was your great secret to the Kudra Mandible? Son, here are my memories. Oh, you watched Monkey Flip for 10 hours straight? Yes, but after that. Oh. Someone extremely smart with over 4,000 intelligence can take a book out of the library of the mages. It's difficult to read, but you can make out the numbers 2 and 20. Never mind, that's patched. It's 2 and 22. Plugging those numbers into the archaeologist's integral gives negative 37,382,880. Using those as coordinates leads to a wall. This wall is pointless. Then we talk to Arch while wearing Ember armor and his dialogue changed and has Kudra in capitals. Never mind, that's patched. It's lowercase. But still different. And the final piece of evidence is that the word mandible has 8 letters. The exact same number of letters as Rickroll. Always expect to Rickroll. Sun Tzu.
If you were kidnapped and left in a forest only to be hunted by bloodthirsty serial killers, what would you do? I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the death game in the Furies. This girl will fight to the death in a battle royale. Kayla here wakes to find herself trapped in a box as a screeching alarm starts blaring from a device above her. The noise is deafening, and she desperately kicks off the lid to escape, only to find herself in the middle of a forest with no idea where she's been taken. It's an overwhelming situation, and that's when she realizes there's blood leaking out of her eye. The girl is freaking out, but with no clues as to who kidnapped her, Kayla walks through the woods to look for her best friend. She starts calling out for help, but that's when the girl sees something horrifying. It's a human skeleton, making it clear that she's not the first person to be kidnapped, when suddenly a blonde woman grabs her from behind as another girl tells her to stay quiet. She reassures Kayla that they're trying to help, and the blonde insists they need to work together to escape. Letting her go, Alice asks if she has a phone, and Kayla immediately runs back to look for her belongings, but there's nothing there. The kidnappers have confiscated everything, including Kayla's epilepsy pills, and she realizes she's in serious danger. Immediately, the girl starts having a seizure and spaces out, but that's when something strange happens. The vision in her left eye suddenly glitches, showing her the perspective of someone carrying an axe, and he's on a mission to hunt them down. None of this is making sense to her, but she has no idea that they've just been forced into a death game. Okay, this is horrifying. Kayla here was placed in a box in the middle of a forest with only the clothes on her back, but it's already clear that this is not your average kidnapping. Now, in a situation like this, your natural instinct is to run away as fast as you can, but it's not going to help you if you don't know how to survive the environment. These girls are in Australia, which has some of the hottest temperatures in the southern hemisphere, getting as high as 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and that can be deadly without finding water. Now, it just so happens that when Kayla got out of the box, she looked up and saw birds perched in the trees. This is great news, because it means there must be water nearby. These are sulfur-crested cockatoos, which are native to eastern Australia, and this actually gives us a good indication of where we are. Earlier, these girls were in the city of Canberra when they were kidnapped, so if this forest has wildlife, there's a high probability she's close to Lake George, which is the closest body of water from where they were taken. That's why if it were me, I would immediately observe the direction these birds are flying in and try my best to follow the path, because there's a chance it will lead me to water, ensuring that I'll survive the environment for as long as possible. Once we have a strategy for immediate survival, it's important to consider what we're doing here in the first place, because all the signs are telling us that this might be a death game. If you look here, you can tell that this box took a lot of work to put together because it has lights, windows, and some kind of device that emits a high-frequency sound. None of this would be necessary for a regular kidnapping, and since nobody's around, it's a telltale sign that we're being watched, and someone has turned this into either a test or a form of entertainment. With this in mind, the smartest thing to do is break apart the technology in this box, because for all we know, the kidnappers might be relying on it to keep us under their control. We can't be sure what it's for yet, but taking away your enemy's resources is a great way to give ourselves an advantage and find more opportunities to escape. Later, Kayla wakes up to find Alice waiting nearby, and she tells her that the blonde girl left to get help but hasn't come back yet. Finding her is their best shot at getting out of this alive, and she walks off in the forest to look for her friend. Joining her, Kayla asks if she remembers anything from the kidnapping, and Alice explains she was breaking into a car when they knocked her out. The girl starts calling her friend's name again, but Alice tells her to stop. She's drawing too much attention and points out that they need to focus on themselves if they want to escape this place. She makes it clear that she's only using her as a meat shield, but the girl is moments away from facing a brutal death. Looking around, Kayla notices something in the distance and runs towards another black box, finding that this one says Beast 6 on the cover. Whoever was inside has already escaped, but when she looks up, the girl is horrified to find a man carrying an axe. Alice pulls her down behind the box to hide, but it's only a matter of time before they're caught. Peeking over the top, she sees that the man has his back towards them, and that gives the girl an idea. She throws a stick into the forest, distracting the man, and pulls at Kayla to run away, but there's a problem. The girl is having another epileptic attack and begins to see through the eyes of the same man who's hunting them down. Alice tries to snap her out of it, but the girl falls unconscious and she has no choice but to leave her behind. She takes off into the forest, but the man has spotted her and starts chasing her down. She desperately tries to put as much distance between them, but the killer is catching up fast. Suddenly, he throws his weapon and it lodges itself into a tree next to her head. Thinking quickly, she pulls it out just in time to attack him, but the man blocks her swing. Overpowering the girl, he slowly pushes the axe into her cheek, and Alice screams out in terror, unable to move as he slices off her face. It's horrifying to watch, and he's not going to stop until all the girls are dead. That's one down, with 7 more to go. Okay, this is brutal. The kidnappers could have killed these girls at any point, and the fact they waited until now to hunt them down tells us without a doubt that this is a death game. If you look at this box, we can see that it says Beast 6 on it, which gives us 2 very useful pieces of information. The first is that there are at least 6 of these scattered throughout the woods, but more importantly, if we look at Kayla's box, hers says Beauty 6. There must be a reason why these things were labeled differently, and it's a good indication that there are at least 12 players in this game, 6 kidnapped victims, and at least 6 beasts who are all trying to kill kill us. This is scary because if there are more killers on the loose, we might run into several of them all at once. That's why it's an important survival strategy to consider what our advantages are so we know exactly when to use them. For starters, this man is large and wielding a heavy axe, which means he's going to be slow. Secondly, he's wearing a mask, so his vision is going to be extremely obscured. Identifying these weaknesses and using them against him could be the biggest factor in surviving this encounter. Alice here is younger and much more fit, so if it were me, I would use his obscured vision against him and constantly change which direction I'm running to get out of his line of sight. There are hundreds of trees around, and this adds more obstruction to his vision, making it harder for him to follow our trail. Once we're out of sight, the smartest thing to do is stay in hiding and wait for him to go looking for you in another direction. The truth is, there's just no way this girl can fight him off without help, and using our speed and environment against him is the best option we have. Now, having said that, this girl's epilepsy is going to be a serious problem because she could have a seizure at any moment, and it's completely out of her control. The good news is, it seems these seizures are somehow triggering a glitch that's letting her see through the eyes of the masked men. Now, the only way this could happen if there's some kind of digital implant that's sending a signal feed for her to look at. What's interesting is that epileptic seizures are actually a result of abnormal electrical activity in the brain. That means her seizures are hacking the digital implant and giving her an advantage that nobody else has. If it were me, I would look for ways to trigger her seizures, giving us more clues about where the killers are to make sure we're avoiding them. Luckily, there are some forms of epilepsy that can be triggered by photosensitivity and even hot weather. I would test this by having her look at the sun and quickly move my hands over her eyes, which stimulate the electrical patterns in the brain and find out what she saw when she wakes up. The best part is, if a masked man approaches us, we can sell the girl out and use her as a meat shield to ensure our survival. Moments later, Kayla wakes up next to the box as she recovers from her seizure and runs to the woods to search for the other girl, but is horrified to find Alice's dead body on the ground. Kayla is all alone now, and with no one to help her, she runs through the forest until she reaches the end of the tree line. The killer is still on the loose, so she has no choice but to keep running, and that's when the girl notices a row of strange poles lined up across the horizon. These things look just like the one in her box, but as she gets closer, the device suddenly turns on, activating a screeching alarm. Overwhelmed, Kayla is forced to crawl back towards a cart until the sound stops. These sensors are a perimeter for some kind of death game, and she'll have to find another way to escape. That's when she hears someone screaming behind her and turns around to see another girl being hunted down. Without hesitating, the killer throws his weapon straight into the girl's back, and Kayla is horrified as she watches her collapse to the ground. Approaching the body, the man looks up to find the girl hiding behind the cart and waves at her. She's shocked, and she can't do anything to stop him, but suddenly the killer hears someone yelling at him in the distance. Another masked man appears, and the axe murderer starts running towards him. Kayla has no idea what's going on, but seizing the opportunity, she takes the injured girl and carries her back into the woods as the stranger viciously gouges out the other man's eye. Both of the girls are exhausted, but they find a hollowed out tree and Kayla hides her inside, reassuring that she'll go find help. Thinking quickly, she covers the hole with branches and leaves the girl alone, but that was a huge mistake. Moments later, the killer discovers her hiding place and yanks her out, throwing her to the ground. He drags her over to a tree and she begs him to spare her life, but the man refuses. Instead, he pulls on her arms and tears them clean off her body. Meanwhile, Kayla can't find anyone to help, but that's when she turns to see someone in a pig mask behind her. It's terrifying, and he immediately attacks her as she dodges out of the way, but it's hopeless. The man is too strong, and she quickly crawls towards the machete he dropped. Picking it off the ground, she swings it at the pig man and forces him to back away, when his head suddenly explodes right in front of her eyes. Okay, this is escalating fast. We can't ignore that this man's head just exploded, so there's clearly another rule to this game that we don't understand yet. It's important to find out why this happened, but we don't have enough information to use this against them, so we should still try to avoid these guys as much as possible. Now, you might think it's reasonable to run into the wilderness so we always know where the killers are, but the problem is that this makes us much easier to spot. There's no tree line to help cover us, and taking away our ability to hide is an extremely risky strategy without a better plan. That's why the smartest thing to do here is to misdirect your enemy and keep him away from us as long as possible. If it were me, I would use the dry soil to my advantage and drag my feet to make a set of tracks that lead straight back into the woods. Then we can run back in the opposite direction before he finds the trail. Right now, these masked men won't expect a bunch of young girls to be this strategic, so there's a very good chance that they'll follow a false set of tracks, giving us more time to figure out how to escape this place. Now, Kayla here discovered that there's a boundary line to this death game, but there's one detail here that she wasn't considering. Even though these sensors stop the girl in her tracks, we can see that they are only pointed inwards. That means if we find a way to get past them, they can't hurt us anymore and we'll escape the game. The next detail is when the second killer appeared, because this guy abandoned the girl he was about to kill and decided to attack him instead. That's a big deal, and he would only do that if the beasts were not on the same team. This is something that we have to take advantage of, and based on what we've just seen, if we manage to lure all of them into the same area, they're more likely to fight each other instead of the girls. This could be the most important survival strategy in the entire game, so if it were me, once we've realized this, I would actually make myself as visible as possible and stand out on the field, waiting to be noticed. We already know we can outrun them because they're big and slow, so if I make enough noise to draw their attention, I can attract more beasts and watch them kill each other off. With that said, the biggest problem with this is the girl's epilepsy, because she might have a seizure while she's trying to run away. That's why to make this plan work, it's absolutely necessary that we have a different girl draw them out as bait. It might take a lot to convince them, but without weapons, it's clear we don't have the strength to fight them off, so making them fight each other is the best thing to do. Kayla doesn't understand what just happened, but with the man dead, she runs back to get her friend and discovers her dead body lying against a tree. She realizes the other killer found her, and that makes 2 down, with 6 more to go. The girl walks through the forest searching for any other victims when she discovers a cluster of empty houses. Luckily, there's a map hanging from a tree, and she learns this place has a gold mine nearby. That's when she hears a scream in the distance and quickly searches for a place to hide. Entering a shed, the girl checks to make sure it's safe and looks out the window, but senses someone sneaking up behind her. She spins around thinking it's a killer and realizes this was a huge mistake. Kayla has just sliced straight into another girl's neck as she tries to stop the bleeding, and the woman falls to the ground dead. That's 3 down, with 5 more to go. That's when 2 girls come running into the building and are shocked to see her holding the body. She insists it was an accident and begs them for help, but the others don't believe her. They think she's a murderer, but before Kayla can defend herself, she suddenly has another epileptic fit, this time watching through the eyes of someone near the gold mine. That's when she sees her best friend Maddie inside a shed, but something is off. Instead of killing her, the man pulls a tarp over the entrance to help her hide. For some reason, he's protecting the girl, and it's a clue that there's more going on in this death game than they realize. Later, Kayla wakes up in the shed and finds this girl Rose all by herself. The blonde left them here together, and the girl suddenly panics, terrified that they're all going to die here. Kayla insists there must be a way out, and that's when she suddenly remembers a dreamlike vision of an operating room. This gives her an idea, and she stands up to search for a tool, finding a spoon in one of the drawers. She walks over to the dead body and begins digging to scoop out the girl's eyeball. It's sickening, but that's when she discovers electrical wires have been attached, and it proves her vision of the operating room was real. The kidnappers replace one of their eyes with an implant that streams what they see, and that means they're always being watched. Okay, this is crazy. Each girl here has an electronic device that's been implanted in the back of their eyes, and it means the game designers will always know where you are. Unless these girls are willing to pull out their own eyeballs, we can't do anything to break the signal right now. But the good news is that we now have a lot more girls we can use to help us escape. Now, entering the shed without backup was a huge mistake, because you're closing yourself in with only a single exit, and that's way too much risk to take on right now. In order to survive this death game, we have to put ourselves in the mind of the enemy and consider what you would do from their perspective. This is literally the only place to hide in at least 4 square kilometers of forest, so if I was one of the beasts, it's the first place I would check. That being said, there are a lot of useful items in this cabin, and we can't leave that opportunity off the table. Since this is a mining town, there's most likely going to be pickaxes, lanterns, and even black powder explosives if we're lucky. Getting our hands on this kind of equipment could completely change the dynamics of this game, and that's why it's a lot smarter to work together together by having one of the girls stand watch outside. If a beast comes near, she can make a distraction so the others can safely gather useful items and get out before anyone knows where they are. Now, there's one important detail that these girls aren't considering. If we look at these sensors here, we can see that they're all the exact same distance apart, so it's fair to assume that they've been placed here based on the range of each device. That means by removing just one pole, there would be a gap in the signal range, and we'd be able to walk right through. If it were me, I would gather the girls to move the wooden cart towards the forest, look for a fallen tree that's long enough to extend beyond the signal range, and use it as a battering ram to knock down one of the poles. There's a high risk that the killers will find us out here, but we've also established that the beasts will fight each other first if they're in the same place. So the worst case scenario is that we abandon the plan and run away. That's when someone knocks on the door and Kayla opens it up to let Sheena back in. Worried, she warns them that there are 2 masked men outside, but Kayla knows they need a plan if they want to survive. She shows them the eyeball, explaining that not only are the kidnappers spying on them, but they've set up a fence around the forest to trap them here. Sheena suggests they hide here until it's dark, but as she walks away to look for supplies, the girl spots one of the killers right outside the shed. They all look for a place to hide, and that's when the masked man walks in. He searches for someone to kill and suddenly discovers Rose's hiding spot. The girl is terrified, and she screams for help as he drags her away, but that's when the others come out of hiding. They work together to fight him off until they force the man out of the building and hold the door shut. The killer runs away and leaves the girl alone, but Sheena is confused. He could have killed Rose as soon as he found her, but didn't, and Kayla thinks he was trying to look at her face. That's when she remembers the boxes were either labeled Beauty or Beast. Since the axe murderer spared her life, Kayla suggests that the killers have to protect a specific girl and kill all the others or else they'll die. That means they're players in this death game too, and if the girl they have to protect dies, they will die as well, now making that 6 people down with 10 more to go. Suddenly, Sheena realizes that since each girl is paired with a killer, they can eliminate one of the men by taking her out. Kayla can't believe what she's hearing and argues that they should be working together. They might be able to escape this place by using the gold mine where her friend is, and nobody else has to die, but Sheena doesn't believe her. The situation is getting worse, and she makes it clear that the only way to escape is to beat this death game, even if that means killing all the other players. Okay, Sheena here is the only one thinking clearly. Right now, the biggest revelation is that these girls are not on the same team. They're competing against each other, and that means the only way to win is to be the last one standing. It's much more logical for these girls to fight each other than to fight the beast, because your real teammate is one of these masked men, and if you accidentally kill him, your head might explode. Killing the girls prevents this from happening, and there's a better chance of taking them down than the alternative. Now, there's still a lot of risk here, so with this in mind, we might want to consider letting the others kill each other off while we continue trying to escape. The best way to do this is by finding this mine, because rocks are conductors that naturally absorb radio waves and cause signal interference. What's interesting is that this is actually such a huge problem in the mining industry that they've had to design specialized equipment to deal with it. Mines will normally use physical transmitters like phone lines, cables, or short-range radio links to maintain signal. This means there's a very good chance that if we enter the mine, it will block all signals being sent to the device in our eyeballs, and we might be able to free ourselves from their control until we're the last player left. As long as no one finds us, hiding here to wait out the death game is going to be the best strategy we have, because if that signal is blocked, our partner's death won't trigger our heads to explode, and we'll survive regardless. Now, having said that, it's still useful to figure out who everyone's paired to, and since this man waved at Kayla, it's reasonable to assume he's her guardian. The problem with this theory is that it looked like he was killed earlier, so right now we have to assume that he's either still alive, or he's not her partner. For this reason, it's important to keep track of who everyone is paired to, because it could help us survive longer. For example, if we know our beast partner is about to get killed, we could try killing the attacker's partner first, and having this information puts us at a greater advantage over the others. The girls run out in terror, unsure of where to hide, but as they turn around, a man wearing a baby mask steps out from behind the building. With nowhere else to run, they head inside another cabin and lock the door, but this was their biggest mistake. Kayla warns the girl that Sheena is going to kill them and promises to protect her. With their alliance formed, the girl draws out a plan to reach the map so they can find the gold mine and save her friend Maddie before it's too late. The players look through the windows to make sure the killer is gone and crawl under the wall to escape. Kayla manages to make it through with no problems, but the other girl gets her foot stuck. She tries to pry her loose, but that's when one of the killers walks into the cabin. Seeing Rose struggling, he rushes over to the wall and grabs her as her friend tries to pull the girl out. But there's a problem. The man in the baby mask is on his way, and they have nowhere to hide. Thinking quickly, she warns Rose to cover her face and lets go of the girl before running around the building. Grabbing the man's weapon, Rose manages to slice his fingers clean off as Kayla charges at him, but he stops her and slams the girl into a wall. That's when the other player grabs a hatchet and swings at his leg, forcing him to let go. It distracts him for long enough that Kayla can stand up and manages to stab him with a drill. It's a brutal way to kill someone, and as soon as the other masked man sees what happened, he runs away in terror. That's 8 down, with 8 more to go. Later, the girl sees Sheena run out of the building, and Kayla realizes she's going after her friend at the gold mine. Walking outside to confront her, she makes it clear that there are still 4 masked men out there, but Sheena points out one of them is her assigned protector. If she takes out the other girls one by one, the number of killers will decrease and she'll be safe. Neither girl makes a move, but that's when they hear Rose screaming in pain from the cabin and realize she's in trouble. The other masked man has trapped her inside, and he's going to kill her. Okay, saving this girl's life is a terrible idea. First of all, the beast has already caught her, so if we run into the cabin, the only thing we're doing is giving him a new person to chase down. The truth is, the fewer players there are in the game, the better it is for us. So letting this girl die is the smartest thing we can do. Now, Sheena here's thinking the right way, but she made a huge mistake. If you're in a death game like this, you shouldn't tell anyone that you're going to kill them. You should just do it. The fact that she didn't strike first means she's acting tough, but doesn't have the courage to fight anyone. All of her instincts are coming out of fear, and this is great news because we can use that fear against her to take advantage of the situation. If it were me, I would lie to this girl by telling her I figured out who everyone's partners are and that hers is right inside of that shed. There were a lot of tools that could be used as weapons in there, and if Rose gets her hands on one, she might be able to kill Sheena's partner. Now, it's natural that she wouldn't want to trust what we're saying, but it might tempt her to go towards the shed and investigate. This triggers her fear response to realize there are other threats to her survival right now, and it splits the focus of her attention away from us. The added benefit is that when she encounters the person she thinks is her partner, she might take a moment to find out for certain, and one moment of hesitation like this can trick the girl into getting herself caught and killed. Now, Kayla decided to form an alliance with Rose here, and that's a really good strategy, but only under the right circumstances. This is a lesson that's really applicable to any battle royale, but the only time it makes sense is very early in the game. The reason is because there's a larger pool of rival players to kill, so there's more incentive to work together until the threat is easier to manage alone. As the number of players drops, your teammate is going to turn on you the first chance they get, and the only way to survive is to kill them first. With that said, this girl clearly hasn't considered this, so if I was Kayla here, I would agree to team up with the girl with every intention of screwing her over. First, I'd pretend to have a seizure in the cabin, and the girl would lower her guard because she thinks we're unconscious. The moment Rose gets close to check on me, I would grab my weapon and take her out. It's cold-blooded, and I wouldn't feel good about it, but dying is a hell of a lot worse, and in a death game, moral integrity is a luxury we simply can't afford. That's when Kayla notices someone sneaking up behind Sheena. The killer swings his axe straight into her head and takes the girl out, making that 10 down with 6 more to go. Kayla asks if he's her guardian, but when he doesn't respond, she steals his axe and swings it straight into his chest. That makes 11 down with 5 more to go. Rose approaches and tells her that the killer who attacked her in the cabin exploded after Sheena died. They realize he must have been the blonde girl's protector and decide to go find Maddie. Checking the town map, Kayla finds a trail leading to the mine and suddenly tells Rose to close her eyes, writing out a secret message on her hand so the kidnappers won't know their plans. With that decided, they leave the town behind, but this won't be the happy reunion Kayla wants it to be. Arriving at the gold mine, she rushes to the shelter she saw in her vision and rips out the grass covering it to find her best friend inside. They're both relieved to see each other, and she reassures the girl that they're safe, but Maddie feels guilty that she never tried searching for Kayla. Upset, Rose accuses her of being a bad friend, and Kayla here tells her to shut up. The girl is clearly feeling jealous and reveals to Maddie that her friend is a murderer. Defending herself, Kayla explains she did what she had to do, and now they can escape this place through the mines. But there's a problem. The entrance to the mine is blocked off with debris, and with no way of clearing it, they're trapped here. But that's when Rose notices a killer coming towards them. Kayla is ready to fight him off, but her body goes limp and collapses to the ground. She's having another epileptic attack, and as Maddie holds her best friend, Rose slits the girl's throat, knowing it's the only way to stop the killer. Suddenly, the man's head explodes and he falls to the ground, making that 13 down with 3 more to go. Okay, that was insane. Rose here just murdered this girl to stop the killer, but as brutal as it sounds, it was actually the smartest thing she could do. Kayla here is passed out on the ground, and her friend Maddie is most likely a coward since she's been hiding this entire time, so they're not going to help her fight the man off. What's worse is that this guy has a pitchfork, which means he can easily kill her from a greater distance, so it's very unlikely that she would be able to attack him. Now, Rose has the perfect opportunity to win because Kayla is her last remaining competitor and she can't defend herself. That's why if it were me, I would just kill the girl while she's unconscious and end the game. It's definitely cold-blooded, but if there are only 3 players left, it's obviously the right choice to make. Rose will never get a better shot at taking out the competition, and even though we don't know who her partner is, it's fair to assume that they can win as a pair and be the last players standing. Now, as far as Kayla is concerned, she took a huge risk killing the axe murderer. At that point in the game, there were 3 sets of players still alive, but the girl missed one important detail. During her seizure, we can see that the beast protecting Maddie was wearing a long-sleeve shirt, but this axe murderer is dressed completely different. We already know that he protected her from the masked men, and both of their boxes had the number 6 on them. So by the process of elimination, there's a much higher chance that killing this guy could accidentally trigger your own death. Now, with that being said, there must be a reason why Kayla survived this encounter. Earlier, when the man was attacked, his eye was gouged out by the other killer, and that might have damaged the digital implant, which would have stopped any signal from triggering the girl's death. This is why Kayla never sees from his perspective from that point on. What's strange is that none of these killers spoke one word to the girls to communicate that they're on the same team. It's incredibly short-sighted, but if it were me, I would be taking advantage of this as much as possible. If we know the girls have no idea who their protector is, I'd approach the girls by acting friendly and lie that I'm their guardian. This would let them begin to drop their guard, and once they do, I'd kill them and move on to the next girl until they're all dead. It's a simple strategy, and that's why it's surprising that none of these men had thought of it first. Later, Kayla wakes up to see Rose sitting nearby with a bloody knife, and her friend's dead body behind her. She can't believe what's happened, and the other player insists they need to get out of here, but Kayla is furious. She regrets ever saving the girl, and Rose runs out of the mine in anger. With her best friend dead, Kayla wanders through the forest until she reaches the perimeter of the arena. The sensors are still on, and that's when she has a crazy idea. Lifting the knife, the girl realizes that the implant triggers the sensors, and without it, she can walk up to the fence, continuing into the outback towards civilization. That makes the people running the game think she died, and they declare Rose the winner. Days later, this man watches footage of the death game on his headset, but it suddenly starts glitching out. Frustrated, he heads to the kitchen to pour himself a drink, but as he's walking back, the man hears a door open. Someone has snuck into his house, and he threatens to call the cops. But that's when Kayla sneaks up behind before knocking him out with a taser. Tying the man to a chair, the girl interrogates him and demands he tell her everything he knows about the group running the death game. When he refuses to answer, she shocks him with her taser, and he immediately reveals the name of one of the founding members. Suddenly, the girl looks over to the couch and asks her best friend if she should believe him. Maddie here is just a hallucination from the trauma she's been through, and Kayla is ready to get her revenge. The man doesn't know what's going on and begs to be let go, but the girl doesn't care. She pulls a knife out of her bag and cuts his eye, making sure he'll never be able to watch a 3D movie ever again.
But what do you think? How would you beat the Furies?
I have been searching for the Kudra Mandible for weeks now. The rarest item in the game has eluded me other than Whispers of Math, which is nerdy stuff, not for a cool person like me who plays Minecraft for a living, but in my
A cup of coffee in me, and then immediately to the bathroom. As someone who has like IBS,
I have been searching for the Kudra Mandible for weeks now.
This video was sponsored by KiwiCo. More about
hello.
Water is the one thing we all need to survive, and sadly, these 2 villages in Cameroon don't have reliable access to it. So we partnered with the charity to dig 2 wells, and I sent Darren and the team over to help. We are building 2 separate wells that will each produce 10,000 liters of water per day. Our first well will go down 180 feet, and our second well will go down 270. These depths will give our wells plenty of access to clean drinking water.
These wells are going to serve between 9,000 and 12,000 people, which means that each person is going to get at least 2 liters of clean drinking water a day.
When we arrived, we immediately started working with the team to get the first well built.
This is the stream that they go to come and get water from every day. You can see how polluted it is, and it's also full with a whole lot of parasites. There are some days that they have so little water to drink that they have to drink this unfiltered river water and oftentimes land up in the hospital.
Now, there are a lot of problems if you don't have good drinking water. At times you have running stomach.
Many people in Fumbo do suffer from typhoid. We just spend one week without water in the whole town.
Both of these wells will literally save lives, but there's so much more to get done. While the first one has some challenges, the second one is even harder, being almost 2 times as deep to get the same amount of water. But we're gonna do whatever it takes to help the people of Cameroon. Without these wells and access to clean water, oftentimes these kids have to skip school.
Some students don't attend to classes and some escape from classes because of lack of good drinking water.
Sometimes we carry water from our houses right at school, having our backs, making it difficult for us to be in the school campus.
These kids are amazing. They're so happy and playful and excited, and it was really something special, and it was very heartwarming realizing the impact that we were having over there.
Pause. Before we can continue the video, we have a sponsorship I want to tell you about. And the reason we have the sponsor on this video is I want to take the money they give us and build more wells in the same place in the future. Because I know you think we have unlimited money, but we don't actually. And this will allow us to help tens of thousands of people. And having said that, Dragon City is a free-to-play mode. Hours playing it. And if you'd like to also down putting images on people's faces privilege, you'll get in-game rewards like 30,000 gold, 10 gems, 15,000 food if you download the game in the next 7 days. You get a free game, we get to build more wells. It's a win-win. I paid someone to scan the entire planet and find the weirdest houses in existence. We want wacky houses. This house is made of Legos. This house is edible. This house just looks stupid. Idiot. We're gonna kick off the unusual house list with this upside down house.
That is a little wacky, Jimmy. Wait a minute. Whoa! I thought it was a normal house, but then they flipped the camera.
The entire house is upside down. It's like that room we built for that little escape room video, but way cooler.
That's pretty cool.
Surprisingly harder than you'd think to drill a bed into the ceiling.
Oh, wow. Look at that. He flips the camera upside down. It looks normal. Whoa. I'm gonna throw up, Dave. Looks like he's holding on for dear life.
Wait a minute.
What?
How do you get to the door? Question science can't answer.
Skate park house.
Oh my gosh.
Everything is a skateboard ramp in his house. That's sick.
Question. Why don't you own that?
Because I have a child.
Just teach him how to skate. There you go.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What does that look like to you?
It's a rock.
No, this is the most unusual houses.
That's a house? Well, it's lumpy.
They built it to look like it's part of the 4 stones it's surrounded by.
It kind of just looks like somebody was just like, with a bunch of rocks. It was like, there's a house. Hey, it's got windmills.
Moving at 5 frames a second. When I said we have the most unusual houses, I meant it. You wanna know what's even more unusual?
What?
This church that was turned into a house.
The opposite room only be reached via a slack line.
Yeah, you know, building stairs is a little too much effort.
And this is his favorite way to round off the day.
What is with everyone having weird homes and skating? This is the up house in real life.
They made a movie about this house.
They did.
Wait, where's the balloons?
We live in the up house.
That's so cute. Not to spoil a main channel video, but I'm currently rebuilding this. That's all I can say. It's a replica of the White House.
I'm gonna go ahead and guarantee it that this was for filming the movie with Denzel Washington where the White House gets attacked.
This Texas mansion takes the cake.
Wait, what are they gonna do with the cake?
Where are they taking the cake?
I didn't know there was gonna be cake.
Why did he take my cake?
Why is the White House pink? This is a pink house, not a white house.
Now why is it white?
Now it's off-white. Now it's an off-white.
Wait, now it's getting pink again.
An edible gingerbread. Isn't every gingerbread house edible? Oh, it's like, okay, it's an edible full-size gingerbread
What, you
house.
thought it was a tiny one?
Yeah.
I dare that little kid to test it. If it's edible, eat it.
Is that high chair she's sitting in edible? Is that TV edible? Is that glass edible? No, don't think so.
Come on.
Not everything in this house is edible.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you know the old saying, don't throw stones at glass houses and stuff.
You know the old saying, if there's a desert that's uninhabitable and very difficult to live in the middle of, just put a giant house that's very long, covered in mirrors.
And near the desert.
That's what they say.
That's the saying.
At any point, someone can break into any inch of this house.
I feel like I walk around naked too much for this house.
Ooh, it's a long pool.
That's a good pool. All right, we get it. You got a long house.
Is that Colin and Samir? When did Colin and Samir do house reviews?
I don't know. You are the one that paid the guy to put these clips together.
Okay, so this might look like an ordinary house, but watch this.
A very own mom and pop dream video store.
You go down the stairs, which look very pretty.
Cool, nice.
And
Blockbuster.
Yes. This dude has his very own Blockbuster under his house. Blockbuster went out of business.
No, there's still one left. It's in Alaska.
Fair enough.
That looks like the type of movies you're not supposed to watch.
Ooh, my mom wouldn't want me to watch those. Anime!
Hey, look, there's kids movies. Oh, he's got a theater too. He's got a laser disc collection. Carl would instantly freak out if he saw that.
More. Bro, it keeps going. Where are we?
Dude, this is crazy.
What's the blueprint below his house like?
You know, his wife was like, yeah, sure, you can have it. Just keep it in the basement. And he was like, okay, it's a cat playground house. You know, you can go to Japan and go to cafes and just hang out with cats.
And there's like 1,000 cats. You want to do that?
Yes, got it.
Japan, let us travel. We've been trying to go to Japan since COVID started, but it's closed off to travelers.
I'll do anything you ask me to. All cats are different. I have one cat that's a beautiful, sweet baby, and then one that is a spawn of Satan. I like the layout of the house though. I really want to do that for my cats. I feel like I'm not doing enough for my cats.
You're not. You're a bad dad. All right, so this guy apparently made a network of tunnels in his home.
Oh, and you can draw on them. That's cool.
Wait, so this is just an air duct. Where does it go? Oh, so he like turned his air ducts into like a slide?
Oh, and this gets you to the next room. You slide all the way down there. Oh, that's a hard stop.
Oh, I thought that was just the kid. That was him.
Yeah, he's got a ball pit. Do not enter. Stop. Oh, they did it anyway. They don't care. A one fridge with 6 Cokes in it.
Oh!
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Thought it was a fridge, idiot.
That's pretty cool.
Wait, what is this?
So it's basically Five Nights at Freddy.
Oh.
The animatronics get a little quirky at night. That one is just not scary, okay? Okay, that one's scary.
I mean, it's not scary because I know to expect it. This is a house with a bat cave.
This is the most amazing thing yet, the bat cave.
Ooh.
Chris has spent $150,000 converting a normal family basement into his own bat cave.
I wonder how his kids feel about that. They're like, Dad, I just wanted a new bike and you got a bat cave. I gotta wait for Santa Claus.
This is probably my most prized possession, my bat suit from The Dark Knight.
If I had a wife and a kid and a bat suit from The Dark Knight, I'd value the bat suit over them.
Tucker's lucky I don't have a Dark Knight bat suit.
Basement converted to Main Street. What does that mean?
Down on Main Street.
Okay, this is a house made out of a giant shoe?
Hey, they made a song about this. There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. She had many colors